Hi everyone, Dr. Darrell Elmore here. I like to record a video once in a while with a fully online class and say hello and get acquainted and comment on some of the things going on in the class. So first of all, yeah, thank you for posting on that article and video about the toxic algae in Florida. So yeah, I think that's a very interesting problem. And one thing that comes up that came up last year, we had a guest speaker, Todd Crowell, who is the executive director of the Institute of the Environment. He works for FIU as a professor. He also works in DC with politicians and in Miami with the mayor to try to get funding and legislation for environmentally friendly policy here in South Florida. So a very busy person. It was so nice to see him last year. He came and gave a guest talk. One of the things that Dr. Crowell mentioned that's surprising, he said that sea level rise is not the number one concern with the environment in South Florida. It's the availability of fresh water. Because before the sea level rise covers the land, it's going to saturate the water table. And if we have salt water everywhere, then it's going to be hard to get drinking water. So, yeah, the plight of the Everglades is a complex problem, obviously, and it is pretty sad. Um, but I wonder, though, long term, if sea level rise is inevitable in South Florida, what will happen to the Everglades? That's a question I have too. Thank you so much also to Tyler and Rena for posting our first paired discussion on Wednesday. So that'll be the trend now. Most Wednesdays we'll have a pair post, one or two sources or more, and some questions. I'd like to have you guys control some of the course and have you choose some of the topics and research that you find interesting to share with us. This way we all learn from one another. So thank you, Tyler and Rena. The sources and questions that you all offered us on plastics, that's a big problem. And I'm not sure if everyone understands exactly how pervasive the problem is. Yes, single-use plastic bottles are a problem. I mean, I do have my stainless steel water bottle here, and I do use a metal straw. Whenever I get fast food and a milkshake, I turn down the plastic straw or the paper straw. I just use my own straw. You all did mention, obviously, plastic bags and packaging are a problem too. But as some of you pointed out, almost everything has some plastics in it now. Even some surprising products like, I'm a big basketball fan. Apparently basketballs, in addition to rubber, they have plastic in them. Aluminum cans, baby wipes. There's just a crazy list of things that have plastic in them. So it is an interesting problem, and thank you so much for sharing those resources. I also wanted to comment on the book, State of the Wild. As many of you noticed, it is a little bit dated. Well, first of all, I want to comment on what dated means. You guys live in a generation where anything a year old is dated. You all live in a TMZ world where yesterday's news from a year ago is ancient history. But I kind of grew up old school with scholarship. It depends on the field, of course, but in some fields, a scholarly text that's 20, 50, even 100 years old, if it's classic and still relevant today, can be considered contemporary and not dated. Obviously, in fields like technology or some of those fields, things change every year. So a book from 2008, 2009 might seem dated. As I mentioned in an email, though, one reason I chose State of the Wild, this version, there have been a few other publications since then, is that it's a free ebook, and I wanted to have all the books for this class be available free and online. And even though the information is, 15 years old, I think a lot of it is still probably relevant. As you all pointed out, it was very interesting in the section by the numbers in State of the Wild Part 1. The book suggests there's a connection between environmental issues and diseases that can be transferred between humans and other species. And it's kind of funny that I chose this book actually a year or two before COVID hit. And so it was almost kind of interesting when COVID did hit that it backed up a lot of what the textbook is saying. So, yeah, it's interesting. Um, one quote I have here that I found interesting from the book, I make my notes too, was landscape amnesia. I think that's interesting. The concept um, that we collectively sort of forget what the richness of the landscape used to be before we changed it. And yeah, even for myself, within my lifespan, I'm 54. I think I do notice the place where I notice it the most is insects. I remember when I was a teenager and you were driving down the road in Kentucky or Florida, your windshield would be covered with bugs every time you went out for a drive over 40 miles an hour. And you don't get that today, even in the Everglades. Well, sometimes in the Everglades you'll get it because of all the mosquitoes, but even in South Florida, you don't get the insects, the amount of insects out there in the environment that you used to. And to me, this is all pretty scary, honestly. The declining insect population, and obviously, you read in the book about the frogs. And to me, in the past couple of years, there have been so many fires in Australia, fires in the Amazon, California. So to me, I think the environment is making a statement to us. And hopefully, we as a species and as a civilization will heed the call that change is needed. And a lot of people obviously are environmentally friendly and do want change. The question is, how do we change things? How much do we need to change things? So those are some issues we'll address this semester. Thank you regarding the community service. Thank you, Samantha G, I believe, suggested that we go to the FIU Nature Preserve. That's a wonderful idea. I've never been there, but I've heard students from this class before talk about it. So, Samantha G, please let us know some dates and times that we could do that. I will probably go to a beach cleanup this semester. I do that every semester with this class, and I always have a good time. And I usually get to meet one or two students face to face, which is always a pleasure. Some of you, obviously, who are remote from South Florida, a letter writing campaign or GoFundMe campaign is a wonderful idea. You could team up, get together, chat via WhatsApp or email, or you could do your own project individually. So, all right. So those are all the notes I had for you guys. If you have any questions about the class, please let me know. I hope you're having a good experience so far. All right. Thank you and have a good week. I look forward to pair 2 posting on a topic that you're interested in. By the way, we don't have a pair 3 yet signed up. So if somebody could please sign up for pair 3, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll just post something that week. All right. Have a good week. Bye.